guys, welcome to another episode of Electrical Theology, Esoteric Life Coaching. Thank you for joining me. This is a show about the supernatural, metaphysical, paranormal, aliens, off-worlders, whatever you want to call them, guys. This channel gets into all of it. You can check a lot of my early videos out, maybe 100 videos ago, when I sort of laid the foundation of what esoteric is and what the supernatural is and what electrical theology is, right? So take a look at those so you get a little more understanding of who I am. But today we're going to be doing the tarot reading and getting an idea of what's happening. There's a lot of galactic, a lot of astronomical, astrological, a whole bunch of stuff going on up in the planetary systems, guys. So, and that could be affecting a lot of y'all. It could be flipping your script, if you will. And so let's just see what we get. All right, we get the Sun card, which it is in reverse. And then we get the 7th chakra, Uriel. And then we get the Angel of Balance, upside down. So what does that all mean, guys? Well, let's sort of put it in context of what's going on planetary-wise. We have all the planets going direct today, yesterday, today, somewhat. So we don't have any other planets going in retro until about April, which, again, I can explain it this way. That the planets, when they go retro or any stuff like that, or these terms we hear, go direct or whatever, squared or this or that, look at it as traffic, right? When you were born, and imagine yourself in a hospital, or your mother's pregnant with you, right? And she goes into labor, right? Her water breaks. And then try to rush her to the hospital, but it's 5 o'clock traffic, right? Schools are letting out, work's letting out, bankers are letting out, right? Anyone working the 9 to 5, 8 to 4s, there's traffic everywhere, and it's a Friday, right? So your birth and the way you're going to be born, probably in the car, on the highway, breathing all that exhaust fumes in and everything, and the panic and the stress that your mother's feeling. And the father's feeling all that energy's around you, and you don't get to the hospital in time. Well, you were born under a certain circumstance, right? And then this way you were born can have consequences to you as you get older, right? And just like the planets when they go in retrograde or whatever the hell they do all the time, that affects us magnetically, electromagnetically. It has a consequence on how we were laid out, right? So understanding different patterns. For me, it's all patterns. You can call planets, retro, whatever. I get that, studied all that. But my thing is understanding the patterns. How often does it happen? Saturn is going in its second cycle. Every 27 years, 28 years, something like that. Y'all can correct me, just leave a comment if I remember correctly. But anyway, it's on its second cycle, which I'm exactly lined up with that. I'm also have Saturn in my Aquarius, which we're having that happen. So I got a double Saturn, we're going into Aquarius. There's a lot of energetic stuff. And all that, it's sort of like you're being born again in the traffic, right? How would you do things differently than when your life first started, right? So you want to do things a little differently. Maybe you want to plan a little better. I know it's hard to plan around those things, but maybe when you're starting to get contractions and stuff in your life, that you get close to where you need to be, right? In our analogy, near the hospital, right? So what that's causing right now is a little imbalance. Let's see what deck wants to talk to us. Oh, that deck wants to talk to us. So yeah, so we're feeling right now. We're feeling pretty good. we're getting a lot of seventh chakra stuff, a lot of stuff coming in from the upper realms, right? I did a little short the other day to sort of help you understand manifesting, right, from the sixth and seventh chakra a little bit, more the sixth than the seventh, but let's see why this angel of balance is in the reverse, right? Which obviously we're in balance, and what are we in balance on? A lot of it could be old belief systems. We're being asked to shed those old belief systems, transform into a new way of thinking, a new way of putting your thoughts into action, a new way of communicating your ideas that you have in your head, because before you tried to communicate and it didn't happen. And this time we're going to try to communicate differently with this new energy, right? So it's opening up for a lot of good communication. Aquarius is both air and water. So we have a little bit of those both mixtures in there. So let's see what we get, guys. Immediately we get the Knight of Wands upside down. So there seems to be a lack of movement of the creative process. And then again we get the Chariot upside down as well. Right? And so that means imbalance. It's just redundant of the angel of balance. And then we get the Four of Pentacles, so there seems to be money issues, or that you're allowing these money issues. This is much like the Eight of Swords, Nine of Swords, around those areas, that we're letting stress control our path, as opposed, again, to redirecting that thought process and allowing yourself to see things differently, right? Making the effort, tapping into new ways of doing things, right? I had a video out a couple days ago of being able to focus on the third eye and then transmit into the universe, right? Our old stuff, releasing it, and then having our new stuff out there as well, that then says, hey, start forming this, right? And we empowered it with the heart. So right now what we have close to the heart in this deck is the Four of Pentacles. You see how close he's hugging that money? We're keeping a close eye on it, which in one sense, because things are in balance, we want to watch our money a little bit. We want to hold it a little tight but not too tight, right? We got to invest a little bit to get a little bit, right? And then we get the Hierophant upside down as well, which is in one sense good because we are breaking with traditions, right? The foundation that you had in your life is no longer. It's like the Tower card. It's been deconstructed, or it's in the process of being deconstructed. Most of y'all who've been doing your work, right? And for me, I don't subscribe to healing, as most of y'all know. Now, I've explained all that in past videos, but to just catch up, is that for me, curing or healing, any of that stuff, right? To heal what ails you, right? Cure what ails you. For me, I look at curing as concrete, right? We create a form, right, out of wood, like we talked about before, and then we pour the universal liquid into this form, right, and then we let it cure, right? We don't try to step on it because it's still liquidy, right, because we're bringing it into this dimension. This dimension has form itself, so we got to wait for it to form itself. It has to form itself in a new form. So your thoughts have to have a process when they're coming in from the cosmic liquidity, or from the cosmic cement truck, if you will, right? The universe is swirling in its cycles, and then as you tap into it and you pull down that energy into your life, into this dimension, right? The no thing into this thing world, is that the cosmic liquid, right, from the cosmic seas comes down into this form that you've built, and this is your ideas on Earth. And then as that liquid pours in, it starts containing itself. It contains itself in the box in which you have built with your thoughts, ideas about a new business, relationships, health, wealth, or love, right? And so we're going to let it cure, is my point, right? The concrete's not sick, right? But I'm curing it, right? The AMA would have difficulty with me saying that I can cure concrete, right? Because they want you to have a license to cure or heal, right? So for me, heal, cure, same thing. And so for us to cure what ails us, we have to allow this new energy to come in and cure, right? Which means that we're fighting with a lot of these old traditional ways. That's our foundation, the Hierophant. And we're fighting these old traditional ways. We don't need to fight the old ways, guys. We just need to look at them with new perspective, new eyes, right? Actual eyes, right? In the cosmic world, I'll just put it as supervisors, right? And these supervisors take me on the cosmic tours of how thoughts go into action. And I'm shown this grand factory, if you will, of how thoughts, when you think a thought, the thought comes into this factory, this cosmic factory, and the ions and atoms start forming. Now, we've been over this enough from that, this, Shambhala hierarchy, God, and then into the 7 frequencies or the 7 colors. It's like a cosmic 3D printer. And that's what we're doing. We're taking our thoughts and 3D printing that and then curing that. So for me, there is no sickness on this planet. Now, our physical bodies need repair, right? That means someone needs to sew it up, fix it, replace it, whatever, just like a vehicle. But what's driving that vehicle is a divine being. And that divine being, when it calls something from the cosmic seas, if you will, the cement truck of the universe, and it comes down, we need to build the form. It's up to us to build the form of how we want things to form in our life, right? Or reform in our life. Go through reformation, reforming ions. And that's what's happening right now. You're being called to reform the old ways. But we have to let it cure when we're bringing it in. We can't bring in old thoughts because you don't see that you can't act upon that concrete yet because it's too soft. You got to give it a few days, right? And let it harden. Let it come into this realm before you start jackhammering it away again with old thoughts, right? So let's sort of see why that may be happening. And again, because there's instability, or there was instability in the family, there has to do something with the child too. There's almost like there was a child. All right, this is 1 or 2 ways I'm getting. One is someone's trying to have a child, but it's not happening. Be patient, right? Allow your body to form. Let it accept. Let the light integrate with itself. It's like taking a new dog to your home. I know I'm not comparing dogs and baby, but this is the example that popped in my head. When you get a pet for the first time and you bring it home, you let it have to acclimate. You let it roam around. Let it do what it wants to, get used to that stuff, right? So your body, right, there's energy, spirits floating around you going, hey, is this a stable body to come into, right? And and so your body is preparing a place. So you got to make sure that you're not stressed. Energies don't like to come into stress stuff. They like to come into the new house, your new vessel, that's calm. So you may need to practice new calm, which means that you may be looking at traditional ways of having babies. Look at alternative ways, right? Look at the traditional thinking about having, right? Aquarius is about taking energy completely out of the way it was and recreating it, reforming it, repouring it, re-speaking it, right? All of Aquarius. And then the other way that I'm seeing is that that it may be empty nest syndrome, where children are gone and they're playing with other friends and they're not playing with you, so you're feeling lonely or left out or maybe not useful anymore. Your kids will always, even though they may not show it, they'll always need you around. All right, guys? So I'm sorry that's causing some stuff. And then we get the 6 of Pentacles also in reverse. So pretty much every card is in reverse, even though I mix these decks up in all different ways and direction. Which, and the 6 of Pentacles is good. 6 of Pentacles is, normally we're not being responsible for where our money's going in and out. And so what's hanging over your head right now, or what's coming in from the conscious, the superconscious into the conscious, is that you're being asked to make sure that you have the finances or the ability to create financial windfalls, right? And part of this is not handing it out to everyone, right? And again, this could also be your energy, your security, your confidence, right? If you're handing and letting other people take advantage of this, right? You got to say no, because this new transformation and how you're reforming yourself in the new ways of seeing life and bringing in this new energy, you don't want to form it back into the old concrete, right? We want to have this one reinforced, right? So you have to reinforce your boundaries with people, right? And they're going to think whatever they're going to think, that's fine. But what I'm saying is that you got to keep an eye on the money that's going out right now and the money coming in, right? Because you're being asked to, in the old days you may have helped everyone financially, but then you had nothing. I'm guilty of it myself. And then part of that then is having the ability to go, okay, why were we handing it out? For what reason? Well, to help other people. Yeah, but what was the root reason for why you were helping other people? Was it to get like, oh, that's a really nice person, or you don't want them to look at you in a negative way, whatever that may be, right? But for what I'm seeing, what I told you about my story about when I go into the galactic factory and watching thought get transformed into this liquid that then pours down into your life of the form that you've prepared for. My supervisor then is in charge of supervision, right? So they have a supervision, right? They have superpower vision, if you didn't catch that the first two times. Right? So they've allowed me to participate in supervision, right? So I'm able to supervise as well with my clients and whatnot, because I can see the bigger pictures. I can see the patterns, right? And then I'm able to help people realize with their real eyes their patterns, and then change those patterns, right, to what it is, reform it, and then being able to bring in the divine liquid, and then being able to create or manifest what it is they want in this life, and have it on a solid foundation. Am I making sense, guys? And so with this supervision I have, right, it's a superpower of vision. I can see a lot of things that a lot of people don't. Not that that's exclusive, because a lot of people can, we all can. It just depends if you hone in on that skill. And that's what you're being asked to, is see things from a new supervision. All right? Now we get the Three of Wands here. Now, Three of Wands is, we don't know if that ship's coming in or going out, because their back's turned to us. So are they waiting for that to come in, or is there someone on that ship that they're waiting to have come into their life? So for me, this is about creativity. So there's a creative thing, again, a baby or something coming into your life, and it's being blessed. I don't normally use that word because blessed has be less in it. So I always joke and say I want to be more on, not less on. Right? A lesson. There's nothing to learn in this life. There's only experiences to be had. So I want to be a moron in this life. And so if this card can also represent that you're having to say goodbye to something in your life, the old foundation, the old ways, old friends, old whatever, in order to create and reform your life anew, right? And that means we got to get your, again, Eight of Swords, swift action, order, organization. So because by releasing these frames, you release your energy that then you can use to reorganize your life in a new way, reorganize your new thoughts. And then we get the Magician. So the power is no longer coming from the outside of you to create what you want in your life. The power now comes from within. That's what Aquarius is asking us, right? It's asking us to refill our pots and now express our divineness to other people, right? And then we get the Fool, right? So we're starting all over, and it is upright. So we are starting over. Definitely a do-over, guys. So how do you want to do this life over? How do you want to do the second part of your life, the early part of your life, right? Some of us, no matter what your age is, we are all being asked to start over or looking at life differently, communicating differently. And then we get the Justice, which is the Libra. Which is also air, but it's in the reverse. And so you may be feeling that things aren't fair right now. And if they're not fair, why are you looking at it that it's not fair as opposed to looking at that differently, right? The outcome of this thing says justice card and it's in reverse. Now what I do like is that this card is upside down, but you see the sun's on top. So even though you may feel like things are upside down, just know that the divine is always on top of things, right? My supervisors are on top. And by each step you take and make an effort to create a stronger foundation, then they say, hey, this person's solid, then I'm going to bring them in further into the galactic workings and then show them around and say, hey, since you've been patient, since you've changed your thoughts, since you've changed perspective, since you are helping people now from your standpoint, not theirs, right? Is then being able to, or they'll be able to show you more and more, because then you'll comprehend it. You'll be like, oh man, this is so fascinating, this is awesome, right? I'm seeing literally energy ions, and just it's starting to form into a thing, whatever that thing is for you. For me, I see RVs being formed, right? Recreational vehicles, campers, motorhomes, land, stuff like that, right? So I'm beginning to see all that form. And so this is all about reforming, right, your life into the way that you want it to be this time around. No more excuses, no more blame, no more faults. You got to look at a different way of seeing things, right? Disassociate yourself from what it is that you're observing about yourself. So take 3 steps out, 6 steps back, 9 steps back, and look at and observe yourself. And see if the way you're observing yourself is the way you want to be, right? So no curing, no healing, right? Other than the solid concrete getting harder and harder, which is more solid and solid, right? Alright guys, that's all I got for you today. If you like this information, go ahead and do me a favor and subscribe to this channel. If you like this information, like it, share it, right? And if you will, if you watch this video and I recommend one of the other ones, click on that one if you haven't seen it already, or on the side where other people recommend, click on their stuff, because the algorithm likes it when you continue that, guys. Alright, I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Peace, love each and every one of you, and see you tomorrow.